covered by anyone who sincerely tries the program and doesn't see vast growth in his emunah b'Torah. It was brought to my attention that the only ones who gain are people who don't succeed. What we could do for the people who succeeded. It's not true. Those who try the program and succeed are gaining something that the entire canteen can't come close to. Here in camp, we don't say all the Kinnos. Before the Kinnos that we say, we have one of the Talmidei Chachamim who are here in camp speak about the Kinnos, point out things we should be aware of, give us ideas how we should improve. It's a beautiful opportunity for all of us to use Tisha B'Av to grow closer to the Ribono Shel Olam. Divrei Chaim, the sons of Rebbe, after the Yom Noraim, once told his Hasidim a mashal, an example of a poor woman with a large family who gathered her children around her and told them, "Children, do you see this egg? From this egg, we will become rich. From this egg, we'll hatch a chick who will grow into a hen and will lay many eggs. From these eggs will come more hens who will lay more eggs until we have so many chickens that we can sell them and buy goats. The goats will give birth to more goats. And we will have so many goats that we will sell them and buy cows. The cows will give birth to more cows. And we will have so many cows, we will sell them and buy a large farm. And we'll be able to support ourselves forever." As she was making her speech, she was a little careless, and she dropped the egg and it splattered on the ground. The Divrei Chaim asked his Hasidim, was this woman foolish for thinking that one can become rich from an egg? No, she was correct. However, if you have the egg, you have to guard that egg. Small Kabbalahs can make a massive difference in our lives. We have to guard that Kabbalah and keep it. The first Kinnos Vav, will be explained by Dr. Yitzhak Herzog. For over 20 years I've been in camp. For the first number of them, I always went into Scranton for Tisha B'Av. I had things I had to do in the shul, and that's the way it was. I would go in, I'd say Kinnos there. They said all the Kinnos. They just davened them up. And I would do what I had to do. I would go to the yeshiva for mincha, and I would come back to camp. One year when the camp was not here, it was in Lackawanna, I stayed. Decided it's too big a trip. And I stayed, and the first speaker I heard that day was Rabbi Langer. And I was blown away. Messiah. Holocaust. Churban. He felt it, he lived it. family, his father's first wife was killed, but the children, they gave it over. And Mamish felt something. I was makabel myself from then on to always be here. The Langer is always the first speaker, but it was felt that this year he should speak attached to the Kinnos of the Churban of Europe. So he'll be speaking later, and I'm going to start off today. I'd like to address two topics that I think we have to understand. What are we doing? We're here at Tisha B'Av. We're sitting on the floor. We're not eating. We're not drinking. We're bitzar. Tomorrow, music is going to be blasting. Computers are going to be on. We're going to be eating meat. We're going to be swimming. We're going to be playing ball. What's going on? Is this a fake? Is this real? And what is Tisha B'Av? Is it a day of Avelus? We're sitting like Avelim, Rachmana Litzlan on the floor. We don't wear shoes. We don't eat. We don't drink any of the Nuyim, like an Avel, in some ways. And yet, if we look at the Rambam tells us something interesting. The Rambam says, Yesh Sham Yomim Shekol Yisrael Mizanim Behem. There are days of fast. We fast. We all know them. Tzar Gedalia, Kinnos Esther, Asar B'Tevis. Mipnei Atzaris She'iru Behem, because of the terrible things that happened to us. Gidei La'ayr Halavavos, the purpose of the Tainus. Why are we doing this? Why are we not in our bunk sleeping? Why aren't we relaxing? Gidei La'ayr Halavavos, to wake up our hearts. V'leftayach Darkei Tshuva. It's a day of tshuva. It's not just a day of mourning, a day of wailing. The temple, the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. Today is a day of tshuva, the Rambam says. Remember what we did wrong. What they did that we did were much worse. Why? When we remember this, the averes that we did, Noshav Lahativ, we're going to do tshuva. The Rambam says today is a day of tshuva. I want to read you a tshuva from Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says, like this. I'm just going to read it to you. It's clear, something that you're not going to believe. Al Datenu, Shayinu Chayshvin. I went over to every one of you and said, what happened on Tisha B'Av? What are we doing sitting here like this? What do you mean why? The Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. We're going to say Kinnos over and over and over. Zok the Chassam Sofer, no. Eina al derech hatshuva, el al derech ha'evel b'artzah. That's what you think. B'yom she'er ra, it's a terrible day for us. Kamaya simcha, like on a good day, b'yom she'er tayv. Rabbi Brown gave a whole shir yesterday on it. We say Makdimin Perunusa, in Makdimin Ma'achim Makdimin Perunusa. It's a bad day. It's a terrible day for us. The Bahar Rambam the light came to. It's not true. That's not what we're here for today. What are we here for? La'ayr halavavis l'ftayach darchei tshuva. We remember what we did wrong. He said that's why every time you say slichos. Why don't we say today? Same way the reason we don't say tachna, because it's called a mayit. But other than that, this is a day la'ayr halavavis. So what are we being la'ayr halavavis to? So the Rambam in the same parak in Halacha Beis goes through all the other fasts. One halacha, 4 fasts. Halacha Gimel, let me read it to you. V'Tisha B'Av, Chamisha Dvarim Erovay. 5 terrible, terrible things happened to us. Nigzar al Yisrael b'midbar shlei konsularis. Number 1, the beginning. We don't come to Eretz Yisrael. Those people died 40 years later. V'charav habayis b'rishayinu l'shniya. 1 sentence. Poof. Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. That's how much time the Rambam spent on it. V'charav habayis b'rishayinu l'shniya. Finished. Next. V'nil gidol. Listen how long we're saying this.
V'nil kitei ir gedola. And a big city was surrounded. Ubeitar Shema. What happened? How many people were in Beitar? V'haya by Allah and V'rivos mi Yisrael. Some sheets the Gemara over 1 million people. V'haya melech gadol. Who cares? Why is the Rambam telling us this? Why is it so important about Beitar? Must be. There was a big king there. V'haya by melech gadol. V'dimar kol Yisrael v'gedolah chachamim shu melech HaMashiach. Everyone thought he was melech HaMashiach. Again. It's very nice. It's a nice history. But why is this important? V'nafal b'yagayim v'neragu kulam. Terrible. They said Mikdash destroyed. And now let me tell you about what seems to be the real tzara. V'hayis et tzara gedayla k'may chorban HaMikdash. Number 4. Number 5. Again, the Rambam is married. Ubay b'yayim hamuchen leparanias. I want everyone to listen to this. Charash Turunas Rufus Harasha Mimalche Edom. Turunas Rufa, who came from Edom. Does anyone care where he came from? He came from Edom. The Rambam's telling us every schnit and trit, every word of the Rambam. You have to know. What did he do? He destroyed Ha'echel, Vesvivov. He got rid of it. Beis Hamikdash was already destroyed. What did he do? He dug it out. He made a playground out of it. He put a swimming pool in. He dug it out. L'kayim tziyun something dicharish. What's going on here? What's Pshat in the Rambam? What do we learn from it? There's a Mishnah in Megillah. It says like this. Let me just read it to you. I'm sorry I'm reading so much. V'ayid Amar Reb Yehuda. Beis HaKnesses Shecharav, a shul that was destroyed. No longer a shul. Those of you who live in Baltimore, drive up Park Heights Avenue, you see one shul after another. Churches. But this is not like that. This is a shul that was destroyed. Ein maspidim b'zaychai. We don't make a spadim in it. You think it would be the perfect place. Look, everyone looks around. It's terrible. This used to be a shul. You can't do this. Don't put your nets in your traps. Don't make it a shortcut. Even though it's no longer a shul, it's destroyed, it still has kedusha. Grass grows in it. Same thing, leave it alone, right? Don't get the guy with the lawnmower to cut it down. Why? What's the agmas nefesh? Rashi tells us, leave the grass over. You walk by like say, that used to be a magnificent shul. Look at it now. The grass is growing wild. They'll remember the shul. They see it. It used to be a shul. Hundreds of people would come every Shabbos. We would daven. We would learn there. Now look at the grass. Leave the grass. Let people be sickened by it. Why? Rashi, we should daven that it should come back. What is the Rambam telling us? Number 5, this terrible, terrible Aveira, this terrible tragedy of Turunas Rofus. What did he do? He plowed the Beis Hamikdash. Why did he do it? Listen to the Lashon. Is that terrible day. Charash, Turunas Rofus, you know why he did it? Because he knew the Mishnah in Megillah. He knew the secret for Klal Yisrael. Our power is our tefillah. When we see the Beis Hamikdash destroyed, we're going to cry. We're going to say, Rebbeinu Shalom, bring it back. Bring back the Beis Hamikdash for us. He didn't want that. He made an amusement park there. So there should be no remembrance for it. That was the rishus of him. What did we say? Think about what we say in Al Naris Bavel. Sham Yashavnu and Eshvichei Yerushalayim. We say Al Naris Bavel. We should be saying it. What do we say? Zechar Hashem to who? He was Mimalchei Edom. Zechar Hashem Livnei Edom. They're Edaimim. They don't want us to win. That's why the Rambam says, this is their way of doing it. Zechar Hashem L'bnei Edaim. It's Yom Yerushalayim. Tisha B'Av. Ha'ayimrim. What do they say? What do we say? Aru ad ha'yisayba. That's the destruction. They destroyed the Yisayt of the Beis HaMikdash. There's nothing left over. Rabbi said we don't remember the Beis HaMikdash. We fell into the trap. Who remembers it? If I ask you in this room, except probably Rabbi Langer, how many years from the Churban Bayis? Who knows? I know. He knows. Most of us don't know. 1949. How do I know it? Because I looked on a Yiddish website today and I saw it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. If I ask you how many games out the Yankees are from first place, how many of you are going to know? A lot more. We fell into the trap of Tzurunas Rufus Russia. We fell into it. Rashi on Eicha. Al Zeha Yadav Alibenu. Al Ela Chashkoinenu. Al Zeh is the Beis HaMikdash. Al Elu Chashkoinenu. Where are our eyes dark that we don't even see anymore? We don't care anymore. Al Har Tzion Sheshomein. There's no Beis HaMikdash left. We don't care. We don't care. Let's get this day over with. Let our lives get back to normal. There's a Peldik Tshuva Nechsam Sefer. He says, someone, Chacham Echad came to him. He says, it's a minute, we don't do it nowadays. When someone dies, the Chevra Kadisha puts a piece of wood in the hand. So this Chacham Echad had 3 different ha'aris, and one of them why that's wrong. Why? Because Rashi says clearly when Moshe was burying Aaron, he said, Shaitis Yodecha, open up your hands. Obviously you don't put something in your hand. So the Chassam Sofer he gives an explanation for it. He says himself, it's a daichak. It's a daichak. Comes the Ksav Sofer and says, B'mechilus k'void Adoni Avi, he forgot a Yerushalmi. He forgot a Yerushalmi in Kalayim. The Yerushalmi says, Reb Yirmiyah, when he died, he said, bury me in my suit and put my cane in my hand, because when Mashiach comes, I want to walk and I want to greet him. Hold it in your hand. You're ready. He forgot it. That's where the minute comes from. In life and in death, we have to remember the Beis HaMikdash. We have to work harder. Is it easy? No, I'm talking to myself. One point. The rest of the Rambam, the arichas that we had about Beitar. It was marach a lot about Beitar. Now I want to ask you a question. 1 million people were killed, let's say, in Beitar. 1 million, 1/6 of the Holocaust, but 1 million Yidden. This was after the Churban Bayis. They thought Mashiach was here. They thought Bar Kochba, Bar Koziba, Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva nichnas l'sholom l'pardes. He went up to Shemayim and he came out b'sholom. Nichnas b'sholom, v'yatza b'sholom. He thought Bar Kochba was Mashiach. They get killed. What happens? Not only do they get killed, their blood is used for fertilizer by the Goyim. They don't let them bury it. 1 million bodies laying around. Finally, Shaila, how many years later? They need to look for it. What do the Chachamim do? The Gemara tells us there's a bracha of Hatoiv v'Metiv. We thank Hashem. Hatoiv shenitnu l'kfura, Metiv that the bodies didn't rot. Now let me just ask again. You buy yourself a new car, a brand new car. Fancy car, has everything that you want on it. It gets destroyed. Hashem, what did you do to me? I saved up for years and years and I got this car. Now it gets destroyed. But you know, Baruch Hashem, the car didn't rust and I'm able to take it to the junkyard. Is that an achama for anyone? Is that a consolation for anyone? I feel good. 1 million people were killed and we make a bracha, Hatoiv v'Metiv. You get a new bottle of wine, Hatoiv v'Metiv. You have a son, Hatoiv v'Metiv. Because of this. Because the bodies didn't rot and they were able to be buried. Hashem let the people be alive. Don't kill them. What's that? Hatoiv v'Metiv. Kasha number 1. Kasha number 2. Let's go back to Chumash a little. Yosef was attacked by his brothers, the shifting car. We don't understand it. He sold to the Medonim down to Mitzrayim. Usually these guys carry the most disgusting smelling stuff in the world. All of a sudden now they're carrying Besamim. What's Pshat? Hashem says, here's Besamim. Don't sell me to Mitzrayim. Don't give me a car that has a nice air freshener. What is that business? What's going on? Hatoiva Meitiv, 1 million people died. Baruch Hashem, they got Kfura. What's happening? Why is the Rambam so marach? Let me tell you, Rabbi Isai, a lesson for all of us. A lesson for all of us. A father can punish a child. There's nothing wrong if someone does something wrong to get punished. But the best way to do it is with a kiss also. I can slap you with one hand and kiss you on the next second. Because you know my father loved me. We got killed, the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. We're taken to Golas. Beitar, the last salvation, was destroyed. 1 million people killed, but Hashem still loves me. Hashem is still with me. Imei anaychi b'tzara. I am with you. Hashem showed himself by the snap. Why? I'm burning, I'm on fire, but I'm weak. Klal Yisrael is suffering, I'm suffering. Yosef, you're going to Mitzrayim. I didn't forget about you. I love you, Yosef. You could have gone down in a tiny little Volkswagen. I sent you down in a limousine. I love you. I'm punishing you for whatever cheshbainis I have. Imei anaychi b'tzara. Beitar, the lesson that the Rambam is so married, is the lesson of Imei anaychi b'tzara. What does that mean to every one of you in this room? You're great in Mishnayos. Your friend is not good in Mishnayos. Help him out. Help him out. It takes away from your time. So what? You be with him. Reb Izzy Zalman Meltzer refused to walk out his grandson, Reb Schneier, out to when he was leaving Eretz Yisrael. They said, why didn't you walk him out? He said, how can I walk him out? So many people lost grandchildren in the Holocaust. I have a grandson who's getting married. He refused to walk him out. Imei anaychi b'tzara. Is it going to take away from your time to help someone? I don't care if you're in camp, you know how to bat. Someone doesn't, don't laugh at them. Help them. We can help each other. I once heard Rabbi Friend talk about this sugya. And he quoted Rabbi Bender. He quoted Rabbi Bender a story, and I hope I get it right, about there was someone in the yeshiva used to sell flowers. And the Bachram used to buy flowers for their parents. And one Bachram went over to buy flowers and walked away. He walked over a second time and walked away. Finally, the third time he bought flowers. So they asked him, what's pshat? He said, because there was a boy next to me that was a yosem. He didn't have parents to buy flowers for. What can I do? I'm going to hurt him. If you know someone that doesn't, his parents are broken up, don't tell them how happy your parents took you on vacation. Think about other people. Beitar, Hashem is with us. We have to learn, the Gemara in Tosfos says, Mahu racham avata racham. We have to learn from Hashem. Whatever Hashem does, we do. There was one other story he said, and then I'm going to be Messiah. Just one other thing. I hope I'm not too long. There was a woman who was in a hotel. She waited for children. For many years, Baruch Hashem she had. And she left her child for a second, and she came back, the baby was gone. She went crazy. Where's my baby? Where's my baby? Everyone in the dining room looks up, looks under the table, and goes back to eating. That's it. I don't see it. It's kind of done. One girl was there with a high school. And she divided up the girls. You go there, you go there, you go there. We're going to help her. We're going to find it. Half an hour later, this girl comes running. I found him. Where was he? He was in a classroom. How he got there, basically. He was in a classroom. Another girl says, I walked in there. I didn't see him. She said, did you look under the desk? No, I didn't. So the mother says, can you explain to me? Why is it that you're so immigrant and you're so devoted to this, that you saved me? She said, because my brother was Levi Kletzky, he was killed. I know what it is to lose someone. I understand. I'm with you. That's the lesson of Beitar. Rabban went to be Menachem Ogel, somebody who lost a child. He sat there and he cried and walked out. And that was it. And the parents said that was the greatest Nechama. There's nothing to say. Don't come up with your own svaris why things happen. Show your friends you can help them, whether it's Mishnayos, whether it's Gemara, whether it's baseball, whether it's math. I'm with you. You have a friend. You're not alone. I can help you. Hashem does it. What do we lose out from this? Well, what do you mean? I'm helping him. I'm helping him. I'm not learning during that time. I can get an extra credit. Moshe Shapiro says something beautiful. The Shadrin, the Sanhedrin. Do we understand what it means to be a Sanhedrin? We don't know. Gedolim beyond our imagination. The Sanhedrin in the Mikvah, who were they? Rashi tells us in Shemais. They were the ones when the Mitzrayim wanted more bricks, they got whipped. They were nice and don't whip him, whip me instead. They became the Sanhedrin. Frechter Moshe Shapiro. Did they learn Gemara? They were getting whipped. I understand. Did they learn Gemara Sanhedrin? Did they learn Makis? Did they learn Chulin, the Baskin Shilas? No. How did they become Sanhedrin? I understand they could be policemen. How did they become Sanhedrin? The answer is, if you're nice about Chavera, you're willing to help, Hashem will give it to you as a matana. You're not going to lose out when you help your friend. When you help him, I don't care if in baseball and he's on another team, you are never going to lose out when you're nice about Chavera. The lesson of Beitar, Hashem did it, we can do it also. One last point, and I'm done. Along this line. It says in Berchus Yaakov, Ula Yosef Amar, Mevareches Hashem Artzai. The Baal HaTurim says there are two psukim that start off Ula Yosef. Ula Yosef Yulad Shnei Bonim. He had two children before the Rav. Yosef said, my children, he had the children before the hunger, because if Klal Yisrael is suffering, I can't have more children. I have to suffer also. He was nice about Chaverai. And in Zayis HaBrocha, Ula Yosef Amar. Zok the Baal HaTurim, it's the same thing. Because if you're nice about Chaverai, you don't lose out. What does the pasuk tell us? Ula Mevareches Hashem, Shloi Hayosef Benachlos Hashvatim, Eretz Malaya Kol Tuv Ka'artzel Shel Yosef. No one's land was as fertile as Yosef. Why? Zok the Baal HaTurim, because he was nice about Chaverai. You do not lose out with this. You never lose out. How do we know nice Baal? Because the Amish showed up in the snap. Zok the pasuk, Bechar Sharai Memegan Eretz Malaya, or it's Sain Shechne snap. The same snap that the Amish showed up. Yosef did the same thing. He learned from the Rebbeinu Shalom. He learned from the Rebbeinu Shalom. I have to help. I'm with you. The Amish is with us. The Amish was with us in Beitar. In whatever way it was, Janita Lepura, we say Atayva Meitiv, and that's the lesson that we have to learn. The lesson of Tisha B'Av. Help your friend. It's not going to cost you anything. One last Chassam Sofer for 2 seconds. Chassam Sofer says that today is the most important day to say Aleinu. Why? Because we say Aleinu Shalai Asanu Ki Goyei Haratzais. Every day, nobody would want to be like a guy. You don't even have to say it in Aleinu. Who wants to be like them? They're low, they're disgusting. Nobody would want to be. I might have thought that today on Tisha B'Av that we're suffering. They're out in the swimming pools having barbecues and we're suffering. Maybe it's better to be a guy. So today is the day. We don't follow them. We're better than them. We do what we have to do. We're all one. Because we're one for all and all for when we take care of each other. The lesson of Beitar. And if Yetz Hashem, we should be zeicher with this, not to have to sit here on the floor. We should be zeicher to Kula Shlem Meher V'Yameinu.
Am I starting it?
Yeah, I don't have a kid. Which one do we do? Show us Page 19 of the Kinnos.
The next Kinnos will be Kinnos Yud Aleph, page 24 in the Kol Yaakov's, page 21 in the H&M Kinnos, Vayikonen Yirmiyahu al Yoshio, Rabbi Goldman.
Vayikonen Yirmiyahu al Yoshio, and Yirmiyahu said a Kinnos over Yoshio. Really, the Kinnos is referring to is the fourth parak in Eicha. But the long and short of it is, there was a king who was a big tzaddik, and he died, and Yirmiyahu said a Kinnos over him. It didn't happen on Tisha B'Av either. What's it doing in the Kinnos? So, I once heard from Rabbi Brown that the Gra said that he could imagine what a Rishon was like. He could even imagine what an Amayra or a Tana was like. But to imagine what a simple Jew walking around during the first Beis HaMikdash was like, that was beyond his catch. The first Beis HaMikdash, we had a king, lived by ourselves, came from David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, Asa, very wonderful people. But we had some very bad kings, very, very bad kings. So bad that Chizkiyahu HaMelech did not want to have children because he knew with Ruach HaKodesh he was going to have a very, very bad son. Yoshio rebuked him. Chizkiyahu did tshuva, and he got married. He had 2 sons, and guess what? That very, very, very evil man was born. He took Avodah Zarah to new lengths. He brought Avodah Zarah everywhere. Every shul, every Beis Medrash had to have an Avodah Zarah. And if you didn't worship like he did, you were punished in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Heichal. Avodah Zarah everywhere. It was gefährlich. He was king for 55 years, 52 years. I didn't notice. 55 years. The first 22, he was rotten, and the Novi in Malachim doesn't say he got any better, but in Divrei Yom it says he did tshuva of sorts, and he took the idols out of the Beis Hamikdash, and he stored them away, and he tried to be a decent person, but he wrought incredible destruction among people, among children. They grew up 22 years of Avodah Zarah all over the place. You don't just throw that out. Look at the Russians. Look after being in Russia. That's only is how they come to shaykhs. Now they come back, but the ones who came right out after Russia. So he finally dropped dead, and they buried him not in the graves of the kings, and his son took over. His son was worse than he was. 2 years he lasted. He was terrible. Brought all the Avodah Zarahs back, everything back. Menashe, the bad king, had not destroyed them. He took them out. Amon brought them all back in. He was so bad that after 2 years they assassinated him. And now they thought, let's get somebody from David's family, the base of David, somebody on Lufuger, a normal person can maybe put these back together, somebody choshev, somebody big, but the people really like the way things work. Well, it's like you can do whatever you want. So they insisted, no, we want the king's son to be the king. But he's only a little boy. That's fine. He's royal, isn't he? He's the son of the king, isn't he? He should be the king. And they pushed him in. This little 8-year-old boy. Can you imagine? Made a little crown for him, for his little head. Sits on a big throne. Everybody comes in and bows down to him. It's a little boy. 8 years old, becomes the king. People knew this kid will be the king. We'll do whatever we want. Be gewaldig. He'll be like a puppet. We'll do everything we want. He's just a little boy, 8 years old. But he didn't listen to that. He didn't listen. And he wanted to know, I'm from David? What was David like? What were the kings before me like? He was a little boy. He liked to hear stories. He wanted to know. The 18th year of his reign, he said, the Beis Hamikdash is a mess. It's a mess. With the Avodah and who cared about making the Beis Hamikdash nice? I want it fixed up. He sent the message to Kinnos. He said, get the money, take all the temple treasure. I want the place fixed up. I want you to go and get workmen, hire the best guys. I want the Beis Hamikdash nice again. Kinnos was delighted to do it. He and Shofar went and they arranged everything. And as they were sorting through the difficult parts of the rubble and things like, they found an incredible thing. Kinnos says, look what this is. Centuries before the Midbar, the day when Shabbat was about to die, he wrote 13 Sifrei Torah. One of them had been kept in the Kodesh Kodashim. One of them, I think it was Hiskell, I'm not sure, was afraid that the kings were coming up, and he hid it. And now they found it. It was incredible. So they went to the king, and first of all, they opened up, they saw where it's holding. It's supposed to be Nigla, it's supposed to be rolled up to gracious, but it wasn't. It was in the farmer. And closed it up. So they came to the king. They said, everything is going good. We're fixing up the Beis Hamikdash. It's going nice. And guess what we found? We found the Sefer Torah. Oh, isn't that interesting? Let me see. Opens it up. Can't read it. Some say, well, maybe they never saw Sefer Torah. I discussed with Rabbi Langer, the Sifrei Torah in his time were not written the way we have it. Our fonts are called Lashon Ashuris. They use Lashon Ivri. It looks something like hieroglyphics, a circle with an X through it, all sorts of strange characters we're not used to. If you saw such a thing, you wouldn't be able to read it. Philin, Sifrei Torah, Mezuzah were all written in Ksav Ivri. Ezra instituted, you go back to the ancient Ksav, the Luchos, and the original Sifrei Torah were written in Ksav Ashuris. But up until that time, it was all Ksav Ivri. He opens it up. What does this say? This is Sefer Torah. Yeah, this is the Sefer Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Sefer Torah. What? Where is it? What? So what? It's usually rolled up to Bereshis. What we found it was rolled up here to here. He said, what does it say? So Shofar opened it up and started to read from the Teichach. The Teichach, it says, you're going to do Averas, you're going to go to Golas, there's going to be a Pharaoh, the king will go with you, there's going to be a destruction, the stone will be destroyed. He said, Well, it's one. That's where it's up to. Look at us, this is what's happening. We've got to fix things up. And this young man took it on himself to clean up not just the Beis Hamikdash, the entire Eretz Yisrael. Now, when the nationalist came, it was examining Hashem, and Hashem said, I'm finished with you. That's it. It was a goes of the Shekhinah. First it went from the top of the Aron, then it went to the Kruvim that were in the Beis Hamikdash, then it went to the Miftan Abayis. The Shekhinah slowly pulled back, then it went to the Gag, then it went to the walls, then it went to Yerushalayim, then the Shekhinah went to the Midbar. I waited there 6 months. are you gonna fix things up? Menashe, yeah, Menashe. Went back to the bed. Yoshio says, I'm gonna do it. And he went after them. He took those idols that Ammon had him say. Not only did he take them out, he ground them into dust. He had them burnt outside Yerushalayim. He sent detectives to every house in Eretz Israel, every home in Israel. He said, go see if they have a Zorah. Check their closets. Check under their beds. Go and see if there's a Zorah. I want it out. We're not doing this anymore. We're going back to Hashem. We're going to bring the Shekhinah back. He says in history, there never was a king like Yoshio. There was never a Malchusha, somebody who returned to Hashem. Nobody went to David off it. Yoshio. He pulled him back. It became a different place. And then he gets the news that Egypt is at war with Ashur. Now, that has nothing to do with us. They're just there. They don't like each other. As a matter of fact, there were some Egyptians and Ashur they were against. So the king of Egypt sent a message to Yoshio, I'd like to pass through your land. Mitzrayim is to the south. Ashur is to the north. So we'd like to pass through. We don't have any trouble with you, but we'd like to go through. Yoshio said, no, you can't go through. He said, what's wrong with you? I'm not coming to fight with you. I need to get from Egypt to Assyria. I need to go through. What are you doing with me? He says, you can't come. What do you mean I can't come? We have a haftacha. We have a guarantee from Hashem that when we're good, no sword will pass through our land. It says there won't be a Muhammad, and no sword will pass. Even a sword of Shalom. You're not sorry with us, but Hashem said, we don't have to let you through. There's no passing through Eretz Israel. He said, listen to me, the king says, king of Egypt. I have a nevuah from your God. I should go and attack them. And I have my God here with me right in the saddle. Don't you dare start up with my God. I'm worried about an idol. He has an idol with him. Don't worry about that. And Yo sent him a message, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's not clear that the Medrash says he sent a message to them. It's not what you think. They're not exactly where they're not holding your life. Don't do it. Oh no, are you kidding me? Look at them. Their faces are shining. My people have forsaken the Avodah Zarah. Now it's right. Now it's what Hashem said. We don't worship idols. They can't come through. And they came through, and Yoshua went to meet them with an army. Now, when you're fighting an army, the best thing you could do is attack the leader. So they shot Yoshua. They shot an arrow, and another arrow, and another arrow. His body became a pincushion of arrows. He was full of arrows. He was dying. He was laying on the floor. The blood is dripping out of him. His neshama is seeping out. And Rabbi is there. He sees his lips moving. He's about to move. And he bends down here and says, Hashem is righteous, and I didn't listen. He justified me. He was lasting to them. He said, I don't care. All the things I did. I didn't do what was right. I didn't do what was right. I didn't listen to the Navi. And with that, we were finished. That was the end. No more than the Churban came with all of its ferocity, all of the horror, the last blink, the last hope where it could have been turned around. It's gone. The show's gone. Let's say you would have listened. What would have happened? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Well, why didn't it work, by the way? I didn't tell you. Because secretly, those people who loved Avodah Zarah, they had put it on the backs of their doors. So when the detectives came in, the doors were open, they didn't see the Avodah Zarah. So they didn't realize people were still worshiping Avodah Zarah. And Yirmiyahu hinted at, he says, there's some of you think, let's say you would have listened. You would have said, I've done everything there is, everything possible to get rid of it. I've done everything humanly possible. What's the only answer? You're gonna have to daven. You're gonna have to daven. If there would be davening, you have no idea. The Medrash Eicha, hey, says the Netzer told Uzrala, you're taking them back. We've destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. We smashed Yerushalayim. You're taking them right back to Babel. I'm telling you something. If they will stop to daven, it'll be all over. We'll lose everything. Don't let them stop. If you see a Jew stop walking, chop off his legs. That's what they did. If they'll do tshuva, we'll be finished. He said, don't let them daven. Don't let them daven. And as they go, person exhausted, he's walking towards the Euphrates River. He comes, you stop, chop. They lapped off his legs and arms and threw it in front of the other people. Don't you dare stop walking. Because we'll lose. We're the most powerful army in the world. We're Babylonians. We'll lose. If they could daven, we're finished. We're finished. They couldn't stop till they got the Euphrates. Here you won't save them anymore. You know, there's a famous story that I guess anybody who's been in camp for a number of years knows the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Mar says that Yerushalayim was destroyed because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. A man made a party. He had a friend named Kamsa. He had an enemy named Bar Kamsa. He said to the patients, and patients went to the wrong one, came to Bar Kamsa. Bar Kamsa came to the Suda. The Havugav, the one who sat in the Suda, said, what are you doing here? I didn't invite you. He says, okay, I'm sorry. You know, I'll pay for my own meal. Don't throw me out. Get out! He said, look, I don't want to be embarrassed, you know. I'll pay for half of the meal. You got a party, it costs me $10,000. I'll pay half of it. Get up, get out! Please, I'm going to be embarrassed. Don't do this to me. I'll pay for the whole thing. Grabs him, picks him up, and throws him out. He says, the rabbis are there. They didn't say anything. Must be they're happy about it. I'm going to the Romans. I'm going to be Muslim. I'm going to fix them. He goes to the king. He says, why do you die? The Jews are rebelling. He says, who says so? He says, I'll tell you. Send the carbon. You'll see they won't bring you. Okay. Sends the carbon. That night, he secretly takes a little knife, goes into the lip of the animal, makes a little cut, going into the eyelid. Now that thing's a no possible carbon for a guy, but for a yid it messes the carbon up. I don't think they come to the carbon. Come here, so you go through this. The lips are no good. What are we going to do? Obviously something's going on over here. The king said that. I want this carbon run. There must be something wrong. You better bring it anyway. Amr of Zachariah ben Avkulis, the rabbi said, 1 second. You're going to bring a carbon with a split lip? People will say you can bring up a carbon that has a mole on it. Okay, you can't do it. Okay, so you know what? The guy who brought it was Bar Kamsa. It's a suspicious guy. Go back to the Romans. Let's kill him. He said, no. Of course, you can't do that because people will say, make a woman punch me, get killed. So they didn't do it. They didn't bring the carbon, the word back to Rome, and guess what? Corbin. Because of the humility of the Zachariah ben Avkulis, and we went to Golis. Because of the humility of Zachariah ben Avkulis, a very interesting line, not for now. I want to tell you that Mahari Naim I saw, very interesting. What was the humility of Zachariah ben Avkulis? What's humble about it? What's humble? He was a little silly. You're going to put the whole Jewish people at risk because you don't want to be killed. You don't want to bring a carbon, a mubakachim. What's not going to be caught nefesh? We're in trouble. Rome's going to go. Are you crazy? Why aren't you bringing the carbon? You're not going to kill him. He's a right. You know what the right is? A right if somebody's pursuing you to kill you, so you turn around and kill him. What is wrong with you? This is humility. Now, the Mari Naim suggests two postulates, two things you have to know in advance. Number one, the Zachariah ben Avkulis apparently was the Golador. The raya is, they listen to him. Why would the Sanhedrin listen to him? He must have been incredibly great. What's the second postulate? He knew it's not going to work. He had Ruach HaKodesh, and he knew there is no way that the churban is going to be avoided. So let's preserve the Torah. If we're doing that, you think you're not saving anything. So then let's keep the Torah the way it's supposed to be. Why didn't you just tell them? Tell them, listen to me. I know it's not happening. He was too humble. He was enough. He's not going to say yet Ruach HaKodesh. If he would have told them, what would have happened? He would have said, Hashem says there's no way to do it, and there's only one answer. Daven. Rip the Shomayim apart with your tefillas. But we're still trying practical things. We'll negotiate. We will send him back. We'll send him presents. Whatever we'll do. But the panic that a person has when he knows there's no other hope, there's only Hashem. That didn't happen. So that humility, here's the rest they say, serve as a holiness and work those. Because he didn't tell them, this is what Marianne says, he didn't tell them about his Ruach HaKodesh. How powerful is davening? One Kiddushin says that there was a shade in the Beis Medrash, and they told him, don't let him in, I'll have to stay in the Beis Medrash overnight. A shade, a seven-headed serpent would attack him, and maybe he'll be saved. What happens? The shade attacks him, he bows down, he davens each time another head gets chopped off. He goes over and says, you didn't give me, but what did you do to me? You put me in danger. We knew what days would happen. You knew what days would happen, days takes away from my sister. Something my Shah, no. They had suffered. Will a days happen? Or will he daven? Because if he davens, he'll be saved, and there's no credits off. It doesn't take away a single source. What you get through davening, when you ask Hashem sincerely for something, it doesn't take away any spusim. It's a straight conduit. Doesn't take away anything. We appreciate what davening is. There's two uses of the word davening colloquially. That means the way people talk. One is you pray to Hashem. What's another? Well, let's say a person davens up the Gemara. What does it mean to daven up the Gemara? It means to say it fast without food. Isn't it strange that two words should have, one is to pray to the behavior of the universe, the other is to babble nonsense, to just say words with no meaning and no understanding? I wonder why we use that word to daven up the Gemara. Funny. Unless our davening is not what it's supposed to be. Unless our davening, we don't understand every word. At least to say the words. I'll tell you something I heard, and you do what you want with it. When someone's sick, or a terrible thing, what do? We say Tehillim. Do we believe that Tehillim works? Do we believe that Tehillim works? If we do have a kasha is like this. In our minyan, in the Sifta, every day after davening, someone says Tehillim. I imagine it's Gil Chayla. I don't hear it very well, but I don't hear him say Achim Kobeis Yisrael. I assume that there's someone who's ill. If we believe that our saying Tehillim would cure that person, would we wrap up our tefillin while we're saying it? Would we put away our cigar? Would we take off our jacket and fold it and put it in the cupboard? Would we really? Our relative is dying of cancer. And here we have the opportunity to save them. Shir HaMalayis, Imam Hakim, Rasif Hashem, that's why I put everything away. Do you think that works? Is that what you think? If you believed you were saving that person's life, would you do it that way? Would you fold up your tefillin, your talis? Would you put away your books? Would you go and put things in your cupboard? If you thought Tehillim really worked? I don't want to be in the country. I don't know, anytime. So now on Tisha B'Av, maybe if we think, certainly through lack of thinking, if we realize how precious our davening is, if we realize, the Mesilas Yesharim says in Perek Test, a person is supposed to daven for the Geula every day, should beg Hashem to stop the Goza Shechina. And he wants our kasha. You think my davening is going to do it? Well, you think me? Who am I? You think my dad's going to bring the Geula? Because I know you're thinking that. The Gemara says a person will say the Shvili in the Bible. Why did Hashem create one person? Because one person is a whole world. Yes. Yes. You're davening. You who do who knows what. You're going to beg Hashem for the Geula? Yeah. Yeah, could be. Could be it's you. If we realize that, Nefesh Chaim says every tefillah is unique. That what you did for Shabbos this morning, nobody in the history of the Bria ever did or ever will be able to do. And what you'll do for Mincha is the same thing. Nobody in history will do what you do when you daven your Shemona Esrei. And not only that, you'll never be able to do it again either. If davening could have averted the tragedy of Yoshua, if davening could have averted the destruction and Nebuchadnezzar's victory, if davening could chop off the head of his shade, we can think that we can say to him, we can stop for 30 seconds. What does it say? What does it take to say to him a minute? From Shema with the 6, 7 psukim, what does it take to stop and think, you know what, Hashem, please heal this person? You see, it's all able to go on. Why did Hashem, somebody's in trouble, please help them? Your davening counts. It's not davening up in tomorrow. It's a tefillah, and tefillah matters.
We continue on to the next kingdom, which is right after the one we said, Kingdom Yud Bey, so Oli. Rabbi, I'm totally this kingdom discusses the cheshivas of the Beis Hamikdash in the eyes of the Kaviyachal of the Baruch Hu, as the Beis Hamikdash is referred to the only my tent. Talks about the Beis Hamikdash was created before the Bria, together with the Kisei HaKovet, and we question why to this day is it in a massive of destruction. Part of the Avodah of Tisha is that the Kurtz mentioned, it's not just us. That suffering in us. But it's also a Kashbach with the Kaviyachal, even in life in the Torah. Part of the Avodah of Tisha B'Av is also to mourn the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash because of the Torah of the Kaviyachal of the Baruch. And that's really what this Kinnos is about. The Kinnos does not discuss at all why to this day Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. Why do we and HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to be the matzah of Tzoros? The end of the Kinnos alludes to a pasuk in Eicha Yod Ba'apoy. It's the beginning of the second paragraph. Why are we clouded with the anger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Cloud. When we can't see, could have a very dark cloud, and it's almost like pitch dark. We see, but we really don't see. We don't have any idea what's going on. That parak in Eicha, Parak Beis, talks about what happened as a result of the Beis Hamikdash, the destruction of Yerushalayim, the murder of young and old. And perhaps we might think that today it's not relevant. We're not being murdered. Yerushalayim is not being destroyed, but it's not true. It's not a destruction of guns, and bullets, and knives, and swords. But it's a destruction of the internal of Klal Yisrael, as to how many are being murdered by the influences of society. Just last week, we were in Yerushalayim for a simcha, the birth of a granddaughter. We went to the Kaisel, the Shvedish Av. The first of the 9 days was the worst visit that I remember to the Kaisel. Shulim Hulchalchulai is an understatement. There's a group, about 50 women, blacks, from some foreign country, chanting out loud some kind of, I don't know what it was.
all Shivim Omois were present at the Kaisel, practically. It was disgusting. Yes, today, Yerushalayim is being destroyed. Just a different type of destruction. Eicha Yov Ha'avoy Hashem es Basiyoin Ishlech Mishanayim Ores Teferes Yisrael. Ishlech Mishanayim Ores Teferes Yisrael. I saw a shmooze from Yankel of Vilna explaining what these words mean. Ishlech Mishanayim Ores Teferes Yisrael. But I'd like to be knocking with the Medrash on these words. But the Medrash introduces us to a mashal of a king where a particular province constructed for that king his throne. And that was his crown, And that was the crown that he wore. The big ichus for those people to be able to construct a crown that the king should wear, and they took advantage of it. They took so much advantage of it that at a certain point in time the king says, "Here, take your crown." And he gave them back the crown, he threw them back the crown. Kach, says the Medrash Rambam. You, Klal Yisrael, think that you can get away with all kinds of affairs because your forefather Yaakov Avinu is Chokok al Pisei HaKohen. You have the schus of Yaakov Avinu. And because you have that schus, you think, I'm going to overlook, and you'll get away with things. True. But not anymore. Kashlei Hashemayim Eretz Teferes Yisrael. Say the Mepharshei HaMedrash that Yaakov Avinu is Teferes. You don't have anymore the schus of Yaakov Avinu. You lost it. When you lose the schus of Yaakov Avinu, you lose a certain tevekus to me. And then comes the destruction and the churban and all the suffering that takes place. Yankel of Vilna says on the famous Chazal that we all know that when Yosef and Yaakov met in Mitzrayim after so many years, Yaakov did not fall on the neck of Yosef and cry because he was Koyer Kriyishma. Why was he Koyer Kriyishma? And there are many pshatim. And he says a new novel pshat in what this means. There are three characteristics of a Yid. Rachmanim, Vaishonim, V'goyim, Chasodim. That's the DNA of a Yid. We have pity on others, we are shameful, and we do chesed to others. What does it mean by shonim? What does it mean we're shy, we're ashamed? What does it mean? Who are we ashamed of? And he says, I'm all it used to be. That when there was a God of the Torah, davening in our shul, together with us in camp, all it used to be that we were ashamed why we wanted the same God of the Torah like he was, like he is. If we davened somewhere and there was a Yid who davened in that shul, and you could see that he davened with kavanah, every day, and every Shemona Esrei. We used to be ashamed in front of him And in every area in Avodas Hashem, Amol said of Yaakov Vilna, when we were around a person who was greater than us, we were ashamed of that person's Avodas Hashem, and it motivated us and it pushed us. That's the midah of Busha. Said of Yaakov Vilna in his time. Today we don't have any Busha for those things. Today we have a Busha, said of Yaakov Vilna, if we see that somebody lives in a nice house with a big front yard and a 2-garage driveway and a beautiful car in the driveway, for that we have Busha. If somebody is wealthy and is able to go on a nice vacation, a road trip with the whole family to Utah, to the mountains in Utah, for that we have Busha. Somebody's wearing a beautiful Borsalino, the $285, $300 hat. And our parents say to us, don't buy the $200 to $300 Borsalino, buy the $250 Borsalino. For that we have Busha. Said Rabbi Yaakov Vilna, if you want to know why the dark cloud, we're blinded, we don't understand what's happening in Golos. All the stars, we're blinded, we don't see, we don't realize, we can't comprehend. You want to know why? Because Hashlech Mishamayim Eretz Tiferes Yisrael. We, Klal Yisrael, took the Tiferes. What's the Tiferes of Klal Yisrael? What makes Klal Yisrael different than everybody else in the world and the other few billion people that live in this world? It's the Shamayim. It's the Ruchnius. It's the ability that we have to learn Torah, to learn a word of Torah. The ability that we have to do mitzvahs. There is no minute in the day that's not governed by halacha. There's no minute in the day where a person can't be mekayim a mitzvah. The way we're supposed to eat, halacha tells us. The way we're supposed to go to the bathroom, halacha tells us. The way we're supposed to walk, halacha tells us. The way we're supposed to sleep, halacha tells us. The Tiferes of Klal Yisrael is the Shamayim, Hashlech Mishamayim Eretz. Klal Yisrael took the Tiferes of Yishamayim and made the Tiferes Oretz. Like the other Goyim, where we compete. And who has it better in this world? V'hinei sula mutza v'arza v'roisha nakia hashamayim. The nevuah of Yaakov Avinu, the Medrash over there says that all of the history of the world was presented to Yaakov Avinu with a ladder. Sula mutza v'arza. Yaakov Avinu's life would be a life where he would have to experience nisyonis in a derech hateradik way. Arza. But even the Arza is Roisha Magia Hashemayma, the Madrega of Yaakov Avinu's Bitas Shlema. There was no pursuit. There were no actions taken by Yaakov Avinu which had anything to do with the Arza, with the Arzius. It was all the Roisha Magia Hashemayma, and that's the Avodah of the Yid. To be a Sula Mutza of Arza. To be a ladder, a world, an oil of cotton in Arza, but to strive and to thrive, to reach and to make our Meisim to be Roisha Megia Hashemayma. While Yisrael at the time of the holiness of Kinnos flipped it. Instead of making the Arza Shemayim, they made the Shemayim into the Arza. And they lost the schus of Yaakov Avinu that was Chokok al Kisei HaKovid. There were many, many communities that were destroyed in the Holocaust. One of them was the community of Pels, the city of Pels. The entire city of Pels was gathered together to be murdered by the Nazis, Yimach Shemoy, led by the Rosh Hashiva, Ram Yitzchak Kloch Zatzal. And he asked the Nazis if he could say a few words to be Mechazik Doig. They gave him permission. And he said, Olam, we're not going to Misa. We're going to Chaim. Because every Tosfos and every word of the Rashba that we learned, and every word of davening that we did, and every mitzvah that we were mekayim, we're going to get chayim for it, life. Life for a Yid is not arza. Life for a Yid is shemayim. It's impossible to pursue Olam Hazeh, and it shouldn't take away from the real Chaim, from the real life. The real Chaim of the Yid, the Tiferes, the Chaim of the Tiferes, is Shemayim. The Ger Tzedek, in the times of the Goyim, when he was being brought by the Goyim and being placed on the fire to be burnt, the Goyim asked Mechila from him for what they were doing to him. And he said a mashal. He said a mashal of a person who was making a chasana. And there was a person in the city that he lived in, where he was making his chasana, who was a big soiner, there's a big enemy, there's a terrible Torah to him. And the soiner figured at the time of the chasana was a good time to ask him for mechila, because he's very much besimcha. And he asked him mechila, and he was meichel him. Said the Ger Tzedek, we say in Hallel, Hallel was Hashem kol goyim, shabchu kol ha'umim. Shabchu kol ha'umim. All the umim say shvach. Why do all the umim say shvach? Tzedek, because when a Yid is going to experiencing the greatest chesed, the greatest chayim that's possible, that it's good for the goyim because we could be meichel the goyim. Shalchu kol umin ki gavar aleinu chazdoi. The Tzedek, as he was being placed on the fire to be burnt, on the stakes to be burnt, was meichel the goyim because he was experiencing this tremendous simcha that he was going to this gewaldige chayim, the chayim of nitzchias, that is only for us Yidden. Prior to that, he passed by the home of the goyim. There was a whole discussion between the goyim and the Ger Tzedek if he should be trying to be saved or not. L'maisa, they were machlit that he should be ma'aser nefesh. He asked those that were walking him to the stakes if he could stop off and have a few words with the goyim. And he walked into the house of the goyim, and the goyim said to him, "Life, run, run, get going, run. You're getting going to the biggest nachas, the biggest enjoyment that you could have." The nisyonis of the serious nefesh we'll hear about. We don't have that today. But the small nisyonis that we have, of the dem, should we choose to do this, should we choose to do that? How many times during the day do we choose to do something because it's geshmak here? It's geshmak in Olam Hazeh. What's Olam Hazeh? Olam Hazeh is not geshmak for a Yid. The geshmakai for a Yid is the Olam Haba, is the Chayim Nitzchias. The Keren Kayemes Olam Haba. Hashlech Mishamayim Eretz Teferes Yisrael. If I could say, the Messiah for Klal Yisrael today is the pursuit of Gishmak. The pursuit of Gishmak in Olam Hazeh. And that we have to reverse. As Yankov Vilna said. And we have to be machshiv and appreciate and have the emunah of what this chayim is going to be, how geshmak that chayim is going to be. And we should be zoicha b'chol mi she'amar lo ma'idai yoim l'tzar seinu dai. Our tzaras should be nigmar. And the imay noicha b'tzar the kaviyachol should be able to be native to Klal Yisrael. Ad b'lidai, b'kara b'bias Mashiach b'binyan beis Hamikdash. Amen. Yeah, that's A. Oh, you're in the apple.
That's Kina, the Intochal Monoshim. You should find it, it's Kina Yitzhak, you should find it on page 33, 32, or 28, depending on your edition. Rabbi Rosenberg.
The antidote for sinas chinam, which we are told is the main reason why we are in the situation we're in the Beis Hamikdash, would be Ahavas Yisrael, which has been discussed. And you'll forgive me if some of my remarks seem to be redundant from other speakers today, but that's the price you pay when you're the fourth speaker. Counselors and junior counselors, I am specifically speaking to you. And the rest of the Olam is welcome to listen in. If you really focus and look carefully at the words of this Kinnos, it's so keneged the Teva. Teva is that parents have a fierce love for their children. And children also have a fierce love for their parents. You know how you feel about your parents. You won't understand how your parents feel about you until you yourself have your own children. However, we in Camp Bonim and other camps give you an opportunity to get a taste of what it means to be a parent, and the sense of responsibility and the sense of devotion that you feel to your campers. Ahavas Yisrael. It sounds very flowery and poetic to say that term, but to see it put into action on so many different ways and levels, that we hopefully, by being intuitive and sensitive to our fellow Yid, that we, each one of us, can hopefully bring the Geula soon, hurry. Dr. Herzer mentioned the very important feeling of conveying to a fellow Yid, a want to share with you a Gemara in Baba Basra, Daf Kuf Tet Zayin Amud Aleph, that tells us that when a person is having a tzara, or there's a chola in his house, what should he do? Yelech Eitzel Chacham, Yivakesh Olav Rachamim. You should go to a Talmud Chacham and have him plead for mercy on your behalf of the one who's sick, or on behalf of your sorrow that you're having. And the Pashut Shad is, yeah, he's a Talmud Chacham, he is Chusim. He has a Koyach HaTorah behind him. It makes sense that he should be the one to go and plead your case. But the Meiri, and I'm quoting a discourse that was given by a very, very close chaver of mine, Rabbi Ephraim Elio Shapiro from Miami, who was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and who attended the yeshiva and spent a lot of time in my home as a buffer. He says, the Meiri says it's an incredible uptouch of this same exact thing. He says, no, it doesn't mean you go to the Talmud Chacham because of the added chutzpah of his status in his Torah. But you go to the Talmud Chacham, Yilame Hemenu. Learn from him what it means to daven for someone. Watch how the Talmud Chacham will daven on somebody else's behalf, not for his child, not for his parent, not for his spouse, but for you. How will the Talmud Chacham daven? How does the Talmud Chacham become completely and totally affected by your tsar? How it becomes his tsar? I'd like to tell you two Mishalim. One of them that I read, one of them that I saw with my own eyes. I read that Rebbetzin Aaron Cutler, after hearing of the horrific World War II story in Europe, that from that day until her Patira, probably at least 30 years later, if not, I don't know what year she was after, but it was at least 30 years after the war, she never put a sweet candy in her mouth ever again. She couldn't allow herself that luxury after hearing what had happened to fellow members of Klal Yisrael. And she was the Rebbetzin of the Rosh Hashiva of Aachen. But what I saw with my own eyes, my Rosh Hashiva, Chaim Wrestler Shlita. I was in yeshiva at Chol davening Pesach. It must have been around 10 years ago. I don't remember how many years ago it was. But the people in here in this room from Baltimore surely remember the story. A young couple was traveling to Baltimore from Lakewood, spend Yontif with their parents. And it was the Sidarim, and they're waiting, and they didn't come. And they took in Yontif, they had no news. And they finally ended up hearing the young couple was involved in a serious car accident. And Rahman al-Islam, they were both nifter. When Rabbi Chaim Brister got that news, he burst into tears. I've never seen anything like it. He didn't know them. They weren't his friends. They weren't his relatives. They weren't his Talmidim. He burst into tears. How many of us burst into tears when we get news like this? Those of us in Camp Aram days, what was your reaction when you heard about Mosey Kaplan's sister and her husband who were killed in a car accident right after their engagement? Mosey Kaplan is part of the Camp Aram tapestry. He's part of the Mishpacha. I think he means Camp Bonim. I think he was here in Camp Bonim too. This is what it means to go to a Talmud Chacham, Yilamed, and then learn how to be nosei b'olam chavera the way it's supposed to be. It's a madrega. Pesach Krone brings a story of how a Talmud Chacham can display Ahavas Yisrael in a situation where no one else was able to see it. This is also incredible. And again, it takes a pikchus that only a Talmud Chacham would have. This is a true story. A woman once came to Rabbi Kiveger's Beis Medrash, and she begged the Talmidim in the yeshiva to daven on behalf of her husband, who was very sick. The Talmidim were in an uproar. We will not do it. We will not daven for your husband, a man who was a noted maskil, a man who went and was master to the government on us, who was forever already Talmid Chachamim. No, he doesn't deserve our tefillos. But she said, my husband specifically told me to come here and ask you to daven for him. Well, Rabbi Kiveger noticed the tumult when he walked over and he asked what was going on. And they told him. And he said, oh, it's a Beferish Mishnah, Mesechus Elin, where it explains that a dead fish is not tamei. The dead body of a fish doesn't have any tumah. On the other hand, the dead animal does have tumah. There's one exception. The exception is the seal. The seal is a water creature. However, when the seal is in danger, it says that it runs out of the water. It goes out of the water and goes onto dry land. So although it may be looked at as a water creature, the fact is that since in time of trouble goes to the dry land, it's considered the din of a land animal and therefore will be tamei. What do we learn from that? That we judge the person based on what they do in the time of danger. At the end of the day, this man, when he is in danger, when he is sick, he's turning to the Ribono Shel Olam. He's turning to Talmid Chachamim to daven on his behalf. We must daven for him. What an excellent example of Ahavas Yisrael. Of course, displaying Ahavas Yisrael is something that's important in order to help another Yid, in order to bring the Geula closer. But there are situations where the Geula, where Ahavas Yisrael can also benefit you while you're doing for others. It could end up coming back to you many-fold. And I want to end with an example. Again, a true story. I'm changing the names, but it's a true story. Rafi lives in Eretz Yisrael. He lived on a moshav. He had a night job. He used to come home, go to shul, daven shachris, and then go to bed. One particular morning, he came home. It was the day that his children had off from school. The house was totaled. He saw, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get any sleep here. And so he said to his wife, I'm going to go to my sister's house. Her house is quiet. Her children are all married. It's nice, they're quiet. I'm going to go take a nap by my sister. And his wife said, okay, fine. We'll see how I got off so easily in a minute. So he goes to his sister's house. And about an hour later, he's already asleep. His cell phone rang. Now, he always turned off his cell phone before he took a nap. Figured anyone that needs him, they know his schedule, they know he's not going to be available. But he saw the caller ID. It was his friend Gavi. He decided, you know what, Gavi knows I'm not available now. I'm not going to answer it. Their phone rang 3 more times. And he said to himself, okay, maybe it's important that I get it. He answers the phone. Gavi says to him, Rafi, I need a big favor. I don't feel well. And my moshav does not have a pharmacy. I need a certain medication. I can't get it here. I know that you can get it by you. Would you please be so kind as to run to the pharmacy and get it for me? And he hesitated for a minute. His friend said, oh, I'm so sorry. I know this is your time usually resting. I'm so sorry to bother you. No, it's fine. I'll do it. You can rely on me. I'm going to go right now and get it and bring it to you. He went down to his car and he opens the door and he looks in the back seat and there he sees his 1-year-old son in the back seat, in the car seat. It's a boiling hot day in the car. The child is schwitzing, is all flushed and red. He grabs the baby, brings the baby into his sister's house. They put him into a cold bath. They give him liquids to drink. And when he felt safe that the baby was all right, he ran to the pharmacy and got the drugs for his friend. And as he's driving back from his friend's house back to his sister, he was thinking and saying to himself, had I not left the phone on, had I not answered the phone, had I not agreed to get those drugs for my friend, what would have happened to my baby son? Ahavas Yisrael then comes back to pay you back many fold over. You shouldn't do it for that reason, but one never knows what the cheshbonos are. Always look around. We're in camp, as Dr. Kurtzer also mentioned earlier. It's very, very basic. There are so many things you can do in camp. You counselors and JCs, for your campers, all of us, for each one of us, try your best to put into practice and put into action the antidote for synesthenia.
Next gene will be Kinnos Arze Halavanon. You should find it on page 36, 35, and 31. Information about it.
Kinnos, the very long Kinnos. We discussed many of the tragedies that have befallen Klal Yisrael throughout our history. But the source of everything, of course, is Korban Beis Hamikdash. We discussed the Holocaust, discussed the Inquisition, discussed the Crusades, we discussed all kinds of tragedies and persecution. They are all direct results of Korban Beis Hamikdash. Tisha B'Av is about Korban Beis Hamikdash, and the Mela is about everything else also that has taken place. What's the reason? The reason is because what happened when there was Korban Beis Hamikdash? It wasn't just that the building was destroyed. It wasn't only that the mitzvahs in the Beis Hamikdash that we were Mekayim every day now ceased to exist. What happened with Korban Beis Hamikdash was that the Rebbeinu Shalom put a barrier between himself and us and chased us out of Eretz Yisrael. We don't belong there anymore. We belong in Galus. What does it mean we belong in Galus? We belong in America. We belong in Europe. We belong in Spain. It means you're not worthy to be in Eretz Yisrael anymore. That means you're not worthy to have the relationship with me, the Rebbeinu Shalom, that you had before. And when that happens, we leave Eretz Yisrael. When that happens, the Rebbeinu Shalom's interest, scrutiny, hashgacha that he gives upon us, the intense relationship that we had in Eretz Yisrael is not there anymore. Not there anymore. There could be an Inquisition. There could be Crusades. There could be a Holocaust. All that is a direct result of Korban Beis Hamikdash. And therefore, all the tefillas for the last 2,000 years. What are we davening when we're davening that? We're not only davening to come back to Yerushalayim, we're davening we should come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The relationship should be mended. The relationship should be restored. Yerushalayim Ercha Baracham and Tashuv. It's not only a tefillah for Yerushalayim, it's for everything that Yerushalayim represents. Find a fascinating Gemara in Gittin. Pasuk says in Daniel, Yishkel Hashem al Arav Ayovia Eleinu Tzadik Hashem Elokeinu. The Rebbeinu Shalom is a tzaddik. And the Gemara says, Stok Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rebbeinu Shalom did gewaltige chesed with Klal Yisrael. Vayishkai Hashem al harav vayavia eleinu. Pasuk means that really he would have made the churban years later. He did us a chesed. He made the churban earlier than it should have been. He says, why? What kind of tzedakah? Vayishkai Hashem al harav, that's the tzedakah. Vayavia eleinu, that's a tzedakah. The Gemara tells us, yeah. Because he went in the last wave of the Golus, was the Golus of Tzidkiyahu. It came 11 years after the second phase of the Golus Yechanya. The time of Yachid, the Golus of Yechanya, Rav Chachmei Yisrael went into Golus. Barchai, the brave members of the Akshei Knesses Agdayla, they went with Yechanya, and they went into the Golus 11 years before the masses of Klal Yisrael went into Golus during the time of Tzidkiyahu. And really, the Golus of Tzidkiyahu would have taken place much later. And the Rebbe Shalom did as a chesed. He destroyed the Beis Hamikdash earlier, so that we should be able to go, the Gemara says, and have the Chachmei Yisrael who went there during the time of Yechanya. What the hell do you think? The tefillas, the sitting here on the Tisha B'Av, the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the worst calamity that took place, the worst Chil Hashem that took place in the history of Klal Yisrael. The Rebbe Shalom did as a chesed. He destroyed the Beis Hamikdash earlier than it would have been. So that when we go into the Golus of Tzidkiyahu, we should find our Rabbeim who were there during the time that came there from the time of the Golus Yechanya. What would have happened had it not have been that we would have had the Rabbeim, the Chachmei Yisrael from the Golus Yechanya? We would have had other Rabbeim. There were other people from the Akshei Knesses Agdayla that went later on during the time of Tzidkiyahu. Yeah, but Rashi says, the Rav Chachmei Yisrael, the intensity of the learning was different. Now that they had the Chachmei Yisrael that were there already, they had an infrastructure, they had yeshivas, they had the Chachmei Yisrael who were there, ready to do the kabul, all the people coming into Golus. And the target of Madrega of learning was on a higher level. Now that they came 11 years after the Golus Yechanya, they were able to learn at such a level that was higher than the level they would have been able to learn at the Golus would have taken place at its right time. Hell with it. What would it have meant? Let's say the Beis Hamikdash would have been destroyed 2 years later. The influence, the impact, the ashpa, the honor of the Beis Hamikdash. You know what it means now that you see a Kohen Gadol coming out from the Kodesh Kodashim on a Yom HaKippurim. A Mara stays with you for the rest of your life. Kyle Amintat Bedari Milo. Broken Ayotzei B'Piachayis. It Musa Keshes. The Seicha Anan. Kivered Anasom, the Seich Ginas Chemet. The Malzer comes and the Python explains, tries to give you some kind of an illustration. What it meant to see a Kohen Gadol coming from the Kodesh Kodashim. You see that 1 year, see it another year after that. You don't forget that. You're elevated for the rest of your life. The spiritual high that you get from seeing that, it doesn't just disappear. And the Rebbe Shalom did as a chesed. He took it away from us. 2 years earlier. For what? So that when we had Rabbeim and the Rosh Yeshiva and the Galus Tzidkiyahu, we should see the Chachmei Yisrael that were there from the time of the Galus Yechadia. And we shouldn't have to be satisfied with the Miyut Chachmei Yisrael that would come later on during the time of Tzidkiyahu. What does it mean? You know, there are many of us people in this room who are not parents anymore. Many of us, we don't have our fathers anymore. We don't have our mothers anymore. Imagine. The Ben Shlomo would come and he would tell us, you can have your father, you can have your mother for 2 more years. All the things that I forgot to ask him, all the relationship and all the kibbutz that I should have given, have another chance for 2 more years of that. Who would give everything in the world to be able to have the mitzvah of kibbutz av, kibbutz aim, to establish a relationship with a person's father and a person's mother, if he had the chance to do it over again? All the things that I forgot to ask. All the ava that I never expressed. Person had a chance to do it over again for 2 more years. Who wouldn't give everything in the world to be able to experience the relationship again with his father and with his mother? And now it's too late. The Gemara tells us you could have the Beis Hamikdash for another 2 years. You could have had it. You could have seen the Kohen Gadol coming from the Kodesh Kodashim. The exhilaration of seeing what that meant. You could go there every day. The Nisim that take place that are described throughout Chazal. You know what it means going up the pageantry before a Yontif of Sukkot or a Pesach, what Eretz Yisrael looked like. From every nook and cranny of Eretz Yisrael, people coming from every conceivable village and hamlet, or from all over Eretz Yisrael, with the Yontif finery. Everybody coming up to Yerushalayim for Aliyah L'Regel. Know how Mara that is? You imagine in your wildest imagination the exhilaration of that, seeing what's taking place throughout Eretz Yisrael, tens and tens of thousands of people streaming towards the Beis Hamikdash on an Erev Pesach, on an Erev Sukkot, on an Erev Shavuos. And the Rebbeinu Shalom does as a chesed. He destroys it all years before. Why? Why? Who wouldn't give everything for those 2 years? Because you know what it means when you hear a shir from a Mordechai Yehudi who's Yoshe B'Shar Melech. And you see, you hear the shiurim, and you hear the guidance of the Anshe Knesset Agdoila, and that level of scholarship, of Talmud Chochem Shaf that they had. It means you become different. It's worth it. Chazal are telling, look at the Gavaldik Chesed. It's worth it to be exposed to those Anshe Knesset Agdoila. In a long run, you'll be better for it. You, your children, your grandchildren, and 500 years from now, you'll be different because you are exposed to the Anshe Knesset Agdoila. And the Rebbe Shalom did you the chesed of destroying the Beis Hamikdash 2 years earlier. That's what it means. It means that when we look at what the Gedolei Israel are, what they mean to us, those that are mekasher us, that are the agent, the means to connect us to the earlier generations. The fact that we have the Anshe Knesset Agdala, the fact that we have the Chachmei Israel, who saw before them other Chachmei Israel, and who saw before them other Chachmei Israel. That means that we are different. That's the public chesed that the Rebbe Shalom does for us. The public limud to appreciate our Rabbeim when we have them, and to understand that it's through them that we are part of the shalshelis, part of the chain that started already from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, went through this man of Tanoim and Amarayim, through this man of Rishonim, through this man of earlier Achrayim. It behooves us to associate with the Kabul, to be Shaisa Latzomas Dibreya, and to understand, to appreciate what it means to be connected to the previous generations from the Chachmei Israel. It was a Yid. Universally accepted by the Tzir Shaila, by the Misnak Shaila. It was undisputed. Mamish, a double adar of such stature. But it's really virtually impossible to be able to express how great he was. That was the Shabbat Rav. The Meir Shiva, Zechron Levracha, came back once from Eretz Israel, from a Knesset Gedolei. He was not a Siddur Meir Shiva. They asked him, what did he see in Eretz Israel that made an impact on it? At that time, there were many very big Gedolei Israel. One thing he said was, Gizen Shabbat Rav. He saw the Shabbat Rav. And then he added and he said, I didn't see such radiance emanating from any person since Rav Chaim Oizer. Shabbat Rav, he went, during that visit, he went to Rav Pascal Sarna, and Rav Chaver Rashiva. And he said to him, you know, you want to see someone who's like a guy that we're used to seeing from before the war. He says, yeah, I have to realize. That time in Yerushalayim, I don't want to enumerate all the people that there were. All the only thing I can say is, not only were they Hall of Famers, they were first ballot Hall of Famers. He says, I'll show you, I'm going to come and go visit the Shabbat Rav. That's what Shabbat Rav was. Shabbat Rav wasn't Shabbat, and then he was chased out. He had it wound up in lumber. Lumber, they thought it would be safe. The Russians came, and then they took everybody to Siberia. And and all the Askadim of Klal Yisrael that were working that the Russians should have Rachamim upon him, and that they shouldn't take him, they should leave him in Lemberg at that time. And the Rebbeinu Shalom of Chasdai performed the nest behind the scenes that nobody was aware of at that time. And the Russians took him to Siberia, and eventually the Germans came, and whoever remained in Lemberg at that time, they killed. So in retrospect, it was a called Kinnos, Chazdei Hashem, that he wound up in Siberia. Siberia was there without any Sfarim, of course. And this sefer that he has, the David Meisharim, are chubis that he wrote in Siberia on scraps of cement sacks. And then when there were no more cement sacks that he had to write chubis on, there were wooden clippings, pieces of wood that he would write the chubis on then. He collected all of these scraps of paper, and then eventually, after everything was over, we have the second volume of the David Meisharim, the Chubis of the Tribunal. Finally, people were Isaac that he should come out of Siberia, and they were successful, and he wound up in Uzbekistan. And then a place called Bukhara. And in Bukhara, he met different Yidden or some Yidden there. There are Yeshiva-like that were there. And there was a group that was there from Kamenetz that learned by Rabbi Ber in Kamenetz. And this group that used to get together once a week, and every person would say a shir from Rabbi Ber once a week, with ultimate shrapnel of Mesiras Nefesh, because if they were discovered that people were learning Torah, that they got together and learned it Barabim, they would be immediately put in prison, and they would be immediately sent to Siberia, back to Siberia. And Shabina Rov, and he got people to learn, to allow other people to learn, and he learned, shared the ultimate Mesiras Nefesh. There's a group, people learn by them here. Rav Shmuel Bruce, who was the Beis Shiva, Beis HaTalmud, was part of this group of Bachra. The Mir Rashid, the Mashkiach, Tzvi Feldman, with his brother, Nayach Feldman, he was part of that group. And Vayi Hayayim, it came out that the KGB and the Russians, they were having one of their shiurim, and they surprised them, and they broke into the shiur right in the middle of the shiur. And some of the Bachar managed, they flew out windows, they jumped out, and there were those that were caught. They were caught by the Russians, and they were pressuring them to tell them the names of all those Bachrim who escaped, and they wouldn't do it. And all the ones that were there, they brought them to the town square right in the middle of where everybody was there. They gathered everybody together. They made them raise their arms. And they threatened them with all kinds of things that they would have to do, that they should come and they should expose, put the names of those that were not there. As an incentive, they took boiling pots of water, cauldrons of water, and they poured it down their sleeves, and there to a point where there was absolute torture. And they said, all right, now you're going to tell us the names. And they wouldn't tell them the names, and those Yotzam, Nishmasam, that's how they killed them. Look at that here, the Arzei Halabanai during the time of the Tanaim, the people were Meiset Nefesh throughout the Tyrus. Even in our own times, the people that we know, to point of Mamish Mesiras Nefesh that they gave up their lives for the sake of learning Torah under such conditions that a normal human being would be totally incapable of doing it. Under threats of Misa Mamish, and they had to go through Misa Mamish. That's what a man means when a person comes and he gives his life for Torah. Here we have the Arzei Halavanaim. The Arzei Halavanaim tell us of the way the things were during the time of Kanoim. It's like every year. The various Isurim that they had to undergo, that they had to endure for the sake of Limud HaTorah. Not only for the sake of the Limud HaTorah, we see the Chavilas of what it meant that the British even destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, for to be able to a person to climb to such heights in the quality of the learning, in the kamus of the learning, the quality of the learning, quantitatively, qualitatively, what the haratza, the admiration, the pedestal that we place in daily Yisrael, Lord. That perspective, we bear that in mind. Day of Tisha B'Av talk about what it means, the Chavivas of Torah, and that Eila Nushir HaKatayra Azais, all the of Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim, the Beit HaMikdash itself, the Mizbeach, the Karbanis we don't have, but the one thing we still have that we're able to cleave to, and that will serve to imbue us with an aliyah, with an sense of an elevated sense, that we'll be able to work as much as we can in Torah and Steigen Torah to become big Talmidei Chacham.
Tzedeki like Melech Yai Marshal Yimei Yechlei V'Yayrai Nisan Elei.
Kina Chapov, Kina Lamed Aleph, H2 cut, page 47, 46, or 43. Rabbi Howard.
The next kino, it says in Mitzrayim, it says in Yerushalayim. Go through many examples of the strong contrast between the heights that we were on when we left Mitzrayim and how low we were when we left Yerushalayim. And Avada, Pashup Shad is that we're sitting here being misabel on Yerushalayim on the Beis Hamikdash. It's very difficult to understand what we lost. So we talk about the different heights that we were on and how low we became. That gives us a little feeling of what we lost, what we want back, and what we're being misabel on today. We were on such great heights, and now we're on such a low when we went out of Yerushalayim. To explain it a little bit more, we all know that it says in Eicha, we all know there's no Tachlim today, there was no Tzedkoscha yesterday by Mincha. It says in Eicha, Kara Alai Moyet, that Tisha B'Av is called a Moyet. And there are two pshatim that I'd like to share with you on why it's called a Moyet. The Rambam in Hilchos Tainis says that all Tanesim will be bottled. And not only will they become bottled, but the Rambam says that they will become Yom Tovim. Some Sefer asks, I understand that L'Asilavai, Mashiach will come, the Tanesim will be bottled. There will be no more Tanesim. But what's the pshat that it has to become? What's the pshat that it's going to become Yom Tovim? Why is it going to become a Yom Tiv? Before I tell you some Sefer's teretz, I would like to preface it with the Chavetz Chaim. Chavetz Chaim has a shmuz where he talks about, and he says that one should never daven and say, L'mashal, Hashem, please give me this. L'mashal, he says, you're going to daven, Hashem, I want to be rich, give me money. And the Chavetz Chaim says the reason is we don't know what's good for us. We have no idea what's good for us. You ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, please do things for us which is good for us. I might not understand what's good for me, but please do what's good. But to ask for something specific, he brings down a pasuk of Mishlei, Oisha Shama Lavala Larasa, just as a mashal. Sometimes Ashir is a terrible thing. And he gives a beautiful mashal that a person had a child, he had one son that he loved so much, and he wanted that son should be nana, we should give him a nod. He had a neighbor that owned a candy store. And he said to the neighbor, do me a favor, whenever my son passes by, go ahead and give him some candy, and eventually, after a few weeks, I'll pay you for it. He meant, obviously, give him a candy when you see him once a day, twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. But this guy, every time the child passed, stuffed him up with candy and stuffed him up with candy till Avada. It was very geschmack. The kid thought it was very geschmack. By the time it finished, he had such tooth problems and such toothaches and such problems with his teeth. He had to sit by dentists, and the pain was geferlach, and everything was geferlach. And then the store owner comes to the guy and he says, please pay me my money for my candy. And he says, Shaita, what are you talking about? What are you, nuts? Well, look what sorrows you made me. And he says back, what do you mean? You told me to give candy to your child. And they go for the entire, and obviously, that's not what the fellow meant. That's not what he meant. Avad, it looked good. It seemed good to the child when he was taking the candy. But Avad, it ended up being that it was no good. We never know what's good. We never know what's not good, says the Chavetz Chaim. Says the Psalm Sefer. The same thing over here. Moshe Rabbeinu asked that he wanted to see Panai from the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom said, Panai lo yiro. You can only see me'achorai. What does it mean? Panai lo yiro, me'achorai yiro. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to know the cheshbonos of the Eibishter. Why you do this? Why you do that? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? And the Eibishter says, absolutely not. Panai lo yiro, but me'achorai yiro, which means
that right now you don't know why things are happening, why tragedies are happening, but you have to know that whatever happens is good. Even by the Beis Hamikdash, we find the Gemara says that it was a chesed, that it was shofech hamosei al eitzim v'al bonim, otherwise it would have been clear to Klal Yisrael. Even in that, there's a chesed. And that's the pshat over here, why it has to be a yontiv, because when Mashiach will come, we will realize that all these tragedies and all these bad things was really good for us. And that's why not only will it be batul, but besides being batul, it's also going to be a yontiv. Another pshat, which is going to bring us to the same point at the end, is a Yeduadik Avart, which I said over in the past when the tells are of. Rabbi Reuben mentioned how tells went, the whole tells was wiped out, and I'm going to Rabbi Yitzchak Bloch, Hashem Yimchem Domoy, was the Rav in tells, and as Rabbi Reuben mentioned that he gave a shir, and his daughter, Rebbetzin Osban, Rebbetzin Isaac Osban, Rav Ram Osban's mother said she was witness to the story. Just so you should know before the Vard who we're talking about over here, that they were rounding them all up in front of a pit, and they were shooting them dead, and they went straight into the pit dead. And as the Telzer Rav was lined up and he was ready to be shot and go into the pit, the Nazi, the SS Yamach Shemoy V'Zichroy, started yelling, and he says, Rabbina, Rabbi, Avu is thine God, where is your God? And it tells the Rav, turned around, and he looked at the SS Yamach Shemoy, and he said, is nicht nor mein God, is thine God, not only is he my HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my God, but he's also yours, and one day we will all see it. And they shot him dead. Says the Telzer Rav, he can say this part, that the reason why it's called a moyed is because a moyed means a meeting with the Rebbeinu Shalom, we meet with Hashem. Sometimes the meeting with Hashem on a Yontiv, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, the meeting is with Simcha, it's a moyed. And sometimes the meeting is with tragedy, but it's the same moyed. It's the same Hashem, and we have to know the soy that comes out over here is that we are with Hashem, and Hashem is with us. Whether it's B'tzeisim in Mitzrayim, when we're on the heights, and everything is going great, and it's very easy to see. And we are also with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when it's B'tzeisim in Yerushalayim, when we're on the lows and tragedies are happening, we have to understand that we don't understand, and we have to understand that there's a bird's eye view that we can't see. I will see it. Sometimes you see it during your lifetime. Sometimes you don't see it too much later. But we're with HaKadosh Baruch Hu always, and we know that whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is for the good. We have to live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In Parshas Vayishlach, there's a pasuk by the Maisa when Yaakov fought with Esav. It says, "Vayivaser Yaakov levadoi vayavek ish imoy." And the Medrash on that pasuk says, V'niskov Hashem levadoi. On that pasuk, the Medrash says, V'niskov Hashem levadoi. Hashem will be exalted alone. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be the one in the great heights. And the Mefarshim ask, what's the shaykhis? Levadoi, the two words, that's not the pshat. The pshat is that Yaakov in the pasuk is referring to Klal Yisrael. There have been many, many nations over the years. Lapidus told us last night, there have been so many different nations. The Romans, the Persians, whatever they were, the Greeks, they're not around anymore. Poof, they're gone. When it comes to Klal Yisrael, and Klal Yisrael is the most persecuted nation. They've been after us ever since the beginning of creation. It started all the way back in Mitzrayim and all throughout the generations. We're a nation that has been sought after, and they tried to persecute us. And we're still around. We're still around. We're still vibrant, even though we went through so many. We're still under attack. In Eretz Yisrael, we all know that there are millions of Yishmaelim Arabs around us trying to kill us, and we're still around. We're still thriving with it. We're still vibrant. The pshat is the biggest raya to V'niskov Hashem levadoi is Vayivasa Yaakov levadoi. The fact that Klal Yisrael is still around, the fact that Klal Yisrael is still here after all these generations, other nations are gone, why are we still here? It's obvious. Even though we don't see it, it's in dark times. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in Hester Ponim and he's hiding. But it's by Yivoser Yaakov Levadoi. Why? Because the Niskov Hashem Levadoi. We are with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we have to live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we have to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as Rabbi Peter spoke about Emunah Shalema, that Hashem is here with us and we're with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But there's a little bit of a deeper meaning here. The Yalkut Shemaini in Eicha says, B'shah shebikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lahakem et Beis Hamikdash, Omar, Kol Zman Shani B'Soicha, when he wanted to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Kol Zman that I'm there, Ein ha'oivim noigas ba. The enemies cannot touch the Beis Hamikdash. Ella says, the Rebbeinu Shalom, Ech boish eini mimena. I will take away myself from there. I will take my eini mimena is the Lashon, which means I will be misalik my shchina. I'm going to take away my ashkach on the Beis Hamikdash. And that's the pshat. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Tzadik Vav. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzadik Vav says that when Titus came to the Beis Hamikdash, heichla kol ikalis, kimcha tchina, which means when he came to the Beis Hamikdash, it was already a destroyed Beis Hamikdash. When he came to the Beis Hamikdash, it was already ground. It was gone. It was our aveiros, our sinas chinam that caused and drove away the shchina. We destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, not Titus. Titus did nothing. It was already burnt. It was already destroyed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was masalik shchina. Reb Chaim Volozhiner writes, the reason why we find that there was Asar and Nisyonis in the Beis Hamikdash was Lohidia, to tell us Ki Chol Anisim Hoye Kedei Laharis Yisrael, was to show us Yidin as Hanhogas Hashem Yisbarach Im Adam, the Hanhoga that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has with us, the Asoy Soy Ritzoy, when we do the Rotzin Hashem, Shenega Imoy L'maylam L'ateva, that He deals with us L'maylam L'ateva. And that's the pshat with the Nisim, the Asor Nisim that were in the Beis Hamikdash, that the Rebbeinu Shalom was there clearly. We saw him clearly. And he dealt with us l'mayla with derech hateva. With the Churban, with our aveiros, we chased out the Shechina. We don't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu clearly. He's not so clearly seen to us. But we have to understand, and we have to know that He's here, and we are with Him. And even though it's hard to see Him, but because of this, what comes out of this is that our aveiros, sinas chinam, especially sinas chinam, as we've been speaking about all day, which caused the silat hashchina, which ultimately causes a chil Hashem. What a great chil Hashem there is in the world. The fact that we can't see the Rebbeinu Shalom, and no one sees the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Goyim Zicha don't see the Rebbeinu Shalom. We have emunah. But everybody else looks at the world, they mamish, it's a chil Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom, the tzara of the Rebbeinu Shalom, the tzara sashchina. The fact that it's not here, that we don't see it, is such a chil Hashem. It says, Bocha HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'yomar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, cried and said, She'eshreisi shchina lemata b'shvil Yisrael. I was mashing my shchina down here because of the Yidden. Now that the Yidden did Averis, Chazarti l'Mokam Erishin Chas v'Sholom, I went back to the Mokam Erishin. Shehayisi schoik la'amim v'lag l'briois. I became a schoik, I became a joke in the eyes of the briois v'lag. I became mamish like a make fun of. Churban caused a chilul Hashem noira in the brio. We have to understand what a chilul Hashem it is. That we don't see the Rebbeinu Shalom, and He's not here with us. And again, even though we're minded them with a shalema, but in the Veld, there are so many Yidden that don't see the Rebbeinu Shalom. What a bizoyin, what a chilul Hashem. We're sitting here today, Tisha, but we have to understand there's a chilul Shem Shamayim going on with Churban. It's our aveiros that were misalik the Shechina, and it's our aveiros that have to bring back the Shechina. Our mitzvahs that have to bring back the Shechina. And because of that, we have to fix that chilul Hashem. The Talmud Devorah in his Sefer says, in the same vein, the same idea, he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu melech nelav soilev elboim. You have to understand something. He's an Eibishter HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mamish. He takes the Nelav, he takes our embarrassment. He mamish the Gvura of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with this going on, how humiliated he is. Think about it for a second, says the Talmud of Torah. Think about it. We know that a person can't move his etzbah ktana without the Rebbeinu Shalom saying move it. You can't see without the Rebbeinu Shalom saying you can see. That's why we say a bracha, all the brachas in the morning, Bekeach Ivrim. Without HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we wouldn't be able to see. And all the rest of the things. What do? Imagine. He gives us eyes to see with those eyes. Who gave us koyach to see with those eyes? The Rebbeinu Shalom gave us koyach to see with those eyes. What do? Imagine you come over to me and give me your hand to use. You tell me, here's my hand, you could use it for whatever you need, and I take your hand and I slap you in the face. Am I crazy? You gave me your hand and I'm slapping you in the face. The Eibishter gave us eyes. He gave us eyes and we see and he lets us see. When we look at something which is inappropriate, what should happen? We should become blind. No, the Eibishter says you can still see. I'll let you see. And still we do these things. We're slapping the Rebbeinu Shalom in the face. Instead of being metalis to the Rebbeinu Shalom, which we're mechuyev to do. I'll call Neshiva and Neshiva. We shouldn't be called on a Neshama Tal. Instead, what are we doing? We have our hands. We can move our hands. We can move our feet. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that says we should move our feet. We have to come and realize that. We don't move it on our own. We wake up in the morning, it's not automatically. It's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the koyach to do it. And what do? We go back and we slap in the face. We use it chas v'sholom for our veiros. What an elbow! What embarrassment! What humiliation! What a chil Hashem! The Rebbeinu Shalom Mamish is sitting in a tzara. This tzara shchina. We have to understand it that way. We find by Yeravim Melachim, there's a story over there quickly with the Ish Kim, and Yeravim was on the Mizbeach being makriv to Avodah Zarah, and he stretched out his hand to hit the Ish Kim, and it got stuck. And the Tanchumim Pasha tells us that Chasa Kodesh Baruch Hu al Kvoidim Shel Tzadikim Yoiser Mikvoidai. When he was on the Mizbeach being makriv to Avodah Zarah, nothing happened. His hand didn't get stuck. When he was trying to use it on the Ish Kim, boom, his hand got stuck. Chasa Kodesh Baruch Hu al Kvoidim Shel Tzadikim Yoiser Mikvoidai. If you think about all this, you see mamish the matziv we're in. The Hester Panim, the Chil Hashem. This is Buras Hashem. The Messias Hashem asks a question. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mevater. Frank the Messias Hashem. So how does Rachmanis come in? How does Rachmanis come in if the Eibush is not a mevater? And the Messias Hashem says Avad, it's not a stira. He said because really when we do an Aveira, we should really be zapped right away. We should get hit right away with it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits and he waits. He doesn't give us the oynish. The Messias Hashem says even when he does eventually give an oynish, it's not with the whole charoinaf, says the Messias Yishol. Shadi is again the same thing. He's a melech soivel elboy. Even though there's a big Chil Hashem going on. Rabbi Yisai was sitting here on the floor on Tisha B'Av. We know there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. We're maimed there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. We are with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us. But we drove him away. And there's a Moedik Chil Hashem going on. And we have to work on ourselves on this day, on Tisha B'Av, at least one day a year, to try to be Mekadesh Shem Shamayim. And if we're Mekadesh Shem Shamayim, we can say enough with this Chil Hashem. And we can bring back the matzah where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not only hidden, and we have to look for it, we have to use our Amunah, Shleila, but we can bring it back to the whole world that there'll be no embarrassment to him, and there'll be no Chil Hashem by the Ummah Yisraelim, and everybody will see that. And we have to also use everything that he gives us for good. We have to use our eyes, especially our eyes. Today's Nisyonis Hador is no question with the eyes. What we look at and what we see, what we're exposed to. And we have to use what he gives us, not to slap him in the face, but to be mechazik in these inyanim. And in Yitz Hashem, if we'll be able to be mechazik in the inyan of Kiddush Hashem, which means to do what the Rebbeinu Shalom asks us to do, and do what he wants from us, and use all our ivarim that he lets us use and lets us have for good. And we're mekadesh Shem Shamayim, and Yitz Hashem, we'll get back to the matziv, where we'll be able to see the Rebbeinu Shalom not only through the tragedies of Itzeisim Yerushalayim,
But Amir Hashem with Shuvi Yerushalayim we'll get back to be able to see the Rebbeinu Shalom with the matzah and the heights that we were on. B'tzeisi Yerushalayim Mitzrayim. H2 Kadikir Biba Haloisi Asli Ali B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Kinim Oiro L'man Naskira B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Oz Yashir Moshe Shir Lo Yinoshe B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Vayikoynei Yirmiyah B'nani B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Ve'esi Yisoyna B'shochan Ha'ona B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'chamas El Shofra Lai Kanona B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Galei Yomrom U'Bechachoy V'Kom U'B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. T'doydim Shatafu V'Yalroi Shitafu B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. T'gad Shomayim U'Tzu Yozu U'Mayim B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Lando Roy Ribumayim Hamorim B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Hashkem Haaretz Libois Harkoyrim B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Koyrei Elei Bel Amarois Babel B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Umarei Koyradoi Noi Koy Shleichas L'Monoi B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'karev L'tusha L'tevach L'tusha B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Zevach u'mincha v'shemen ha'mishcha B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Segulas el-kucha v'atzavon l'tivcha B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Chagim Shabbosoi Sukkotsim Yoisoi B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Tanis v'yebel rodoi v'hebel B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Toivu Mo'yolim Li'aron L'Gol B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'olei Shmei V'umachanoi Sarei B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Yoibel Shmita V'eresh Shekeita B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'chor L'tzmisus V'choros V'chosus B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Kapoires V'yoroi V'yavnei Zikoroi B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'yavnei Akela V'lei Havolna B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Levim V'aroinim V'shivim Zekenim B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Noitzim U'moidim U'moifrim V'koidim B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Moshe Yireinu V'yaron Yacheinu B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Nebuchadnezzar V'anjonus Keisar B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Narei Chokama V'adoinoi Shama B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Rochak Mimenu V'hinei Einenu B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Sisrei Paroim Ches V'sidrei Marechas B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Keimoni Techas V'olai Zoi Techas B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Oy lo zvaken v'ishein derkoiken b'tzeisi Mitzrayim. V'charev v'dukarim v'neitzioin ha'yikarim b'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Harim v'gbois l'chopoim v'gbois b'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Shirikois v'struois v'koilois v'zvois b'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Sit Hazov Hamshal V'Rah B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Mushlach HaNezer V'Yofas Ezer B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Kedushon V'Vuah V'Radoi V'Nira B'tzeisi Mitzrayim. Migolon V'Rah V'Ruach HaTov B'tzeisi Yerushalayim. Bina Shua Katzai Choice Shua Bitseisi Militzrayim Zakas Oilo Nakas Kolo Bitseisi Mirushalayim Shua Noira Benhala Noira Bitseisi Militzrayim Elel Sayeva Fesel Matseva Bitseisi Mirushalayim Torah Suda Play Ahem Damitzeisi Mimitzrayim Sasai Misimba Yagai Panaha Mishubi Yerushalayim.
That's the last keynote will be a keynote which I don't think we ever said before, Ken. At the back of the Kinnos, many of them have it. There's Kinnos which are written by contemporaries over the Holocaust, describing what happened. We're asking Rabbi Langler to speak about this one.
We have heard today many inspirational thoughts, which everyone can walk away with a tremendous amount of esoirus, feeling a iskarvus to the Rabbeinu Shalom, especially in this Eis Rotzoi, has brought down the Imre Pinchas Karta, and says when ye not sitting on the ground, it is the greatest Eis Rotzoi. Now all the tefillahs that we daven to the Rabbeinu Shalom Shabbat Skabel, we have these few precious moments that we can accomplish where everybody can daven to the Rabbeinu Shalom. To be zoiche to have in the bakers some connection and now walk away chas v'sholom from such a rich day empty-handed. We heard before Rabbi Howard about the Chil Hashem, the Ikavoit in the Navi brings was a terrible destruction in the time of Eli HaKoyen. The Plishtim captured the Aron HaKodesh. The Yidden ran away from the Plishtim, and the Maggid that came to be Mavaser Eli HaKoyen told him, the Yidden ran away. Your children, Chofni and Pinchas, were killed on the battlefield. And the Aron HaKodesh was taken. And as soon as Eli HaKoyen heard that, he fell back. He was 98 years old. And he broke his back. And he was nostalgic. He was nifter from Klal Yisrael. And his daughter-in-law, the wife of Pinchas, when she heard this terrible calamity, Mishkan Shiloh destroyed. The Yidden were running for the battlefield. Her husband and brother-in-law, Chafri and Pinchas, both killed. Eli HaKoyen, the leader of Klal Yisrael, the Shleifeit, was just nifter. And she was expecting a baby. And immediately she went into labor. And she gave the name of the child Ikavoid, which means there is no kavod. What a shame. What a terrible disaster. Can you imagine every time she called her son, Ikavod, come over here. Every time she would remind herself of this gefährliche Churban, Klal Yisrael losing the Shayfet, the Arai taken away, her husband, Klal Yisrael, Mishkan Shilai. What worse Ikavod could there be? But I want to share with you, we've heard all about the different Charbonites, but if there's any Churban that we can still feel some sensitivity and not to be frozen. I know the younger generation is some 70 years away, but when it happened, by me, I grew up with this every single day. I couldn't part. There was never a Suda Shabbos. And my father, Zuchel Racha, would not speak about his kids. Whenever died, killed, Al Kiddush Hashem. My mother, with her experiences, I would come running into the bedroom at nighttime, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I hear her screaming, Behaltzich, hide. And I'll come running in from my room where I slept, the other end of the house. Mommy, what's this? She would wake up, she says, oh, we're not being led to the gas chambers now. The nightmares. I live through this every day. Seder. Rabbi in Yeshiva. Talk about it. It was something that was part of our life. I came to shul. There was nobody 20 and older. It was kids up to the age of 16, 17, and 45, 50 and over. I didn't know what it means. From 20 to 50, there was no one around who could see. It was a missing generation, a missing gap. And I used to relate to only him. As a Yid, Reb Alter, who used to play with him. He was member of the Sakinar, he was blind. And our game was, by Shalashudis, to sit with him. When we had to try to help him by mistake, he would say, Shisha Sidre Mishnah, Megoyim Maholas, everything, verbatim Balpeh. A Yid that knew. Shisha Sidre Mishnah, word for word, Balpeh. And we used to play who can catch him by mistake, and we all failed. A Yid, Ramosha Pak, who was the Baltfila, Nifter Zokin, over 100 years old, his Anivas. When he would get older, he would daven and say the word Hamelach. The entire davening, the Yid that went through how he would cry, the ganze davening, we can't understand it, I can't explain it. It's a different generation. So you may understand, but I'm going to tell you now how certain Yidden went. Today in America, growing up, knowing more about the Litvish Rosh Yeshivas, hungry, was laid with yeshivas that you never heard of. Gedoylei Olam, the Shamor Rov, the Toshran Rov, the Sekel Rov, the Galanta Rov, the Ninth Rov, the Mitzad Rov, the Nasan Rov, the Gedoylei Olam, each one of them had yeshivas, Marbitze Torah, And in 1944, when they marched to the gas chambers with their yeshiva, when they were walking to the gas chambers, they were saying, Schneller, schneller, like the Goyen said to the Rabbi Roman Aram, Schneller. I can't wait to meet up with the Tata in the Himmel. It was a Shabbat Egin in the Tata. I want to meet up with the Rabbeinu Shalom. And they were telling the Talmidim, we're going for Simcha. Rabbi Yirmiyah Abramov, he says over, he met a Talmud Chacham. The Talmud Chacham told him, he said, my job was to escort the people when they came off the cattle cars. I had to escort them, those that were sent by the Malach HaBovis, Yamach Shimon V'Zichram, Bengala to the left. I had to escort them to the gas chambers. And there was a Yid, says a Yid was walking with a whole bunch of Yidden. And it was on Sukkot, during the Yom Tov of Sukkot. And as he's walking closer to the gas chambers, he sees the crematorium was billowing out ashes from our Zaydis and Babas that were being cremated in these crematorium. And he saw the ashes flying in the air. People couldn't tolerate the stench odor. And this Yid says, I feel I'm in a sukkah of Anane Kavai now. I mamish feel I'm in a sukkah. These ashes is Anane Kavai. What Kavai? He said, this could never have happened unless the Toichacha that says, V'hayisam Mishugim Emarei Necha. Only the Rabbeinu Shalom could orchestrate such a thing because of what we have done. So this is a Gilui Shchina. I don't understand it. But this is what he went in. This was his feeling. He says, and now, this is our opportunity to go on Kiddush Hashem. Taches Kanfei Ashchina. And then he continues and he says, I want you to know, I feel I have the Dalit Mina with me as well. And he starts elaborating and he says, the lulav is connected the shadra, the spine, the body. What have we eaten? We have eaten nothing. We have only eaten kosher. My eyes. Here in Auschwitz, what have we seen? What have we seen? We haven't seen anything that we're not supposed to see. That's the Hadassim. The Haravais is connected the path. Have we seen anything? Have we said anything wrong? Bonim Shalom. We haven't said anything, we haven't seen. The only thing I feel I'm still lacking is the esrei, because I don't know where my heart is. I'm on the Kabul the Gezerah, 100%. And as he walks closer to the gas chambers, this Talmud Chacham hears how he says, Yidden, I feel we have the esrei. I'm walking into the gas chambers, B'Shleimus, Mekabel the Gezerah. I have the 4 minim and a sukkah with me. Could we, in Tov Shinai Ches, understand these words, how Yidden felt, how Yidden were able to interpret a Gezerah, how Yidden were able to take everything and try to turn it to the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Belzer Rebbe Zuchayl Bracha said, that every Yid that survived the war, every Mutzal Me'esh, had two Malachim escorting him along the way, otherwise it was not shaykh to survive. I want to share a Maisa when they take along the Minchas Elazar, famous Munkat Rebbe Zeichet Sali Mekadosh Bracha. Had an Adam, he had a son-in-law, Reb Baruch Rabinowitz, the father of the current Munkat Rebbe today. He was walking down the streets of Munkach, and one day there was an action where the Nazis would brutally come and grab every man, take him away, ship him off the cattle carts all the way into Auschwitz, never to be seen again. Reb Baruch, the Adam, the son-in-law, the Munkat Rebbe, he had a Polish passport, which would help him, would not help him at all. The Hungarian government still took care of its citizens somewhat, but a Polish youth had no chance of survival. And they grabbed him and they put him on the cattle carts. The Baruch, together with all the Yidden, squeezed into this cattle cart with no water, no food. They were all just grabbed off the street. They weren't expected. No belongings, nothing. Traveled, went across the Dniester River, and they ended up somewhere in Poland. And they were taken out now, being marched to a barn. One Yid notices and he sees a little marking, a sign of this town. It's a town you never heard of it, and neither did I. It was called Yaklichi. Yaklichi, others call it Yaglazia, Polish town. And they're taken into this town, into the barn. Everybody squeezed and huddled, surrounded by the Einsatzgruppen, SS soldiers, especially there to kill the Yidden. And as they were surrounded, one Yid said to Reb Baruch, "We are in Yaklichi." Yaklichi? Yaklichi, I heard that name. What do I know about that name? And he's thinking. Oi! I remember my great-great-grandfather, the Sasover Rebbe, once passed by Yaklichi. And the people asked him, "Rebbe, we have no Gadol, we have no Rebbe, we have no one. Please stay with us." And the Sasover Rebbe said, "I'm tired of you. I can't. But one of my descendants, one of my children will be with you." And it was years later, Reb Shmulka, the son of the Sasover Rebbe, passed by Yaklichi. He didn't have an idea where he was. And it was on a Tuesday. And all of a sudden the axle broke. And the And the Balagola, the driver, told him that we're going to have to stay here for a little while because the axle broke. We're going to get it fixed. Sorry, we can't go. He says, where are we? We're in a little town called Yaklichi. When Rav Shlomo heard this, he says, Yaklichi, get it fixed fast. I got to get out of here fast. I don't want to stay here. It didn't take long for the people in town to see that was a great tzaddik amongst them, and they came begging him, stay with us for Shabbos. And at first he says, no, I can't. They said, we need a Moira Derek. We need somebody to guide us. Please stay with us for the Shabbos. How could he say no? But he knew what his father had once said, and he was hoping it's not him. And he acquiesced. He was must, and he said, you know what? I'll stay for Shabbos. And that Shabbos for Shlomo was Nifter, and he was buried in Yaklichi. His great-grandfather, Rav Urkel, remember it. My Zayd is buried in this town. I was never there. I have to go be mispalel. How can I get out? And his determination was stronger than the vigilance of the Nazis, Yamach Shmom Zichram, in the middle of the night, in the pitch dark of the night, when they were all in the barn, the corral, huddled together. He snuck away, slowly snuck away, and he got away from there, and he walked around the dark streets, and it's pretty uniform in Europe. You go to the end of the town, and there is the Jewish cemetery. That's the way it's been all over Europe. And he found the cemetery, climbed in, it was dark, and he looked for the biggest matzeva, and he found it, and was able to see by the moonlight that this is a Zaydis caver. So he laid down by Rav Shmulke Sassover, and he's davening. All of a sudden, he sees a little flicker of light coming from the distance, and he stands up, and all of a sudden he sees major fire consuming the whole barn. Rachmana litzlan, the Nazis, Yamach Shemam v'Zichram. They poured gasoline all around the barn, lit the place on fire, burning every single one of those Yidden from that transport alive. The only one to survive was Rav Urkel. But where? What? He's in the cemetery now. Back home in Minkach, the Minchas Luz was nifter already. Minchas Luz, Rebbitzin, when she found out that her son-in-law was grabbed off the streets, she just wanted to do whatever she can to try to save him. And she calls one of her husband's Hasidim. His name was Rav Avram Man, a big Asken, very capable person. And she says, Rav Avram, you have to go back to Poland. You have to get Rav Urkel out from there. And he looks at her. He says, Rebbe, are you for real? They keep going to Poland? I'll get caught, I'll get killed. Aisha's covered, and she says, I promise you, you won't get caught. For 1 second. Where am I going to find him? You know how big Poland is? How many villages and cities? Where is he? And she says, you'll find him. I'll give you whatever you need. I advise you, knowing him, he probably went to the cave of his Zayd in Yaklichi. You may be able to find them there. Rabbi Roman immediately, the way he took such koiches, he put his plan in motion. He bribed Christian driver, Hungarian driver, to drive him across the border, came to Kolomai. Over there, he found a doctor, worked in the hospital. He bribed him, told him, we're going to have a home. I'm going to bring somebody here. You'll bandage him up. I'm going to need a Red Cross ambulance. It was a whole plan. He was a big, big Oscar. He knew exactly what to do. And now he takes the car, goes into Poland. He saw he's running out of gas. He pulled up to a gas station. And over there were a group of Russian Yidden prisoners surrounded by Nazis. And when he came out, they saw him when he was dressed up like a Hungarian official. Didn't look like a Yid. Now, but these Yidden stuck their hands out. Bright, some bread, they were starving. And he had on him. And he was thinking, I can't give them bread. How can I give them bread? I'll blow my cover. They'll see right away who I am. But how can I not? His emotions took over and he took out a loaf of bread and started breaking off a piece, giving each one. And one of those Nazis says to him, "Die verfluchtete Jude, you cursed Jew, you are a Jew." He turns to him and says, "How dare you call me a Jew? What do you call me a Jew for?" He says, "Who else has any pity on these people? People,